Accessing secure channel. The Agent Files, where aspiring agents rise and masters flourish. Powered by Agent Builder Coaching. Mission initiated. File loading.
Hi there, this is Peter Fan for Agent Builder Coaching, and for the Agent Files, the podcast for agents on a mission. And this segment is part of our Rookie Realtor component. There's a total of 24 initial episodes for the Rookie Realtor over a period of about 12 weeks. So 2 episodes per week is what we're recommending for you once they're available. We're recording them now and releasing them as they go, so to speak. So this week, we're going to talk about one of the most important components of your business. It will become your most valuable asset without question. Okay. And it is your CRM. Now, for a lot of people, CRM is kind of googly-gook talk. We call it CRM mainly because the full name is a bit of a weird one. It's Contact Relationship Management Systems. Okay. Database, your list, your index card, if you're one of the old guys like me that remembers the time before computers, so to speak. Your CRM is really your command center, and it really is a command center. It is, if you run it properly, it will tell you what to do, when to do it, how to do it, why to do it, if you do it properly. And just imagine this. I'm going to try to demonstrate this a little bit. Just imagine that you have, I don't know, over the next few years, you have a few thousand people that you have some form of connection with, some form of relationship with, whether it's professional or personally, whether it is, realtor to realtor, other businesses, or your neighbors, your friends, your coffee buddies or your golf buddies. It doesn't really matter. But in some way, shape, or form, you want to stay in relationship with them. And the best way to do that is to actually reach out and connect with them, right? Then you have control, you have influence of the quality and the intensity of that relationship. Well, how do you maintain that? How do you logically administrate that? And unfortunately, that can't be by the seat of your pants, because it becomes too random, too arbitrary. And therefore, a lot of people will fall between the cracks. Not that everybody's ready at any given point in time to buy or sell real estate, but over a period of years, the likelihood that either they themselves will become ready to buy or sell, or they know of people that will become ready, willing, and able to buy or sell is quite high. And this is where in previous sections and missions we've talked about, top of mind awareness and top of preference becomes really key, because you build that trust relationship not instantaneously. It happens over time. So somebody that you met last weekend is a nice person and you want to stay in, you send them a proper follow-up card and yada, yada, yada. You do all the things. And then, all of a sudden, 3, 4, 5, 6 years later, you see a for sale sign on the yard. Well, don't be surprised, because they don't remember. You may remember, but they don't remember. So if you haven't had a proper model in place to get in touch and stay in touch with those people on an ongoing basis, on their terms, right, with information that they want, then the probability of you getting any business out of them, first business or referral business, is quite slim. However, on the flip side, and this is the bonus, if you have a properly implemented, documented, optimized, and consistent systems running in your database, the likelihood of you getting between 7 to 10 genuine buyers and sellers out of that database each and every year for every 100 people in your database is very realistic. Now, you won't necessarily close them all, but even if you close, 50% of those, so that you do anywhere between 3.5 to 5 deals per year out of each 100 people in your database because you stayed in touch, right? Well, 5 deals a year is somewhere around $50,000 in gross commissions in many places in Canada. But if it's a little less, then so be it. But it hasn't cost you a whole lot of money, time, and effort other than staying in touch. Right? And in doing so, you've nurtured that relationship. You've earned that relationship, and you've earned the business and the loyalty from people because you've added value to their lives on their terms. Okay, so that's in a nutshell the key importance of why CRMs and databases are so important. So we're going to dive into it much more diligently and much more on purpose. And we're going to kind of give you some examples of how and what to do with some of these things. Okay? There's kind of two really key aspects to a CRM. One is the active people, the people that are ready, willing, and able to buy. Obviously, they need to be documented, and the intensity of their interactions with you or your interaction with them is obviously much more frequent than those that are, maybe next year, maybe 5 years from now, maybe never, but you still want to stay in touch, right? Okay, so, and we kind of, and this is somewhat speak out of the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book. So if you've read that book, which I highly recommend, then you'll relate to this. Many people talk about the people that you've met and the people that you haven't met. But more importantly, it's really the distinguishing factor between the people that are active, as in actively thinking about buying or selling, and those that are inactive. Okay. Now, those that are inactive will eventually become active. And guess what? Those that are active now will eventually, once they've bought or sold, will become inactive, but they still remain part of your database. And again, the intensity, but also the language changes as to how you communicate with people. But if somebody's ready, willing, and able to buy, you're not going to talk about, I don't know, the newsletter with, the quiz of how to best present your Halloween decorations, right? You're going to talk about what is really going on in the moment about their purchase and or sale plan, and you're going to stay focused on that and make sure that you provide timely and appropriate information to them. Okay, whereas with the people that you build a relationship, hey, they get an invite to the Halloween party, or they get a coupon because you negotiated a discount with the local grocery store, or what have you, right? So, the two different types of communication. And by the way, they can overlap, right? Because the people that are active should also get the benefit of your newsletter, should also get the benefit of any client appreciation events or activities that you're doing. But most importantly, your direct interactions with them is really about the purchase and sale at that point in time, right? Okay. So, first part of a CRM is that you have to capture every contact, and not every contact is a lead, but every contact that you already know, have some form of relationship with, that is in your phone, that's in your social media, anybody that is certainly the local and most likely also the not so local. Okay. Friends and families, wherever they live, also move. And you might as well be of some assistance and some support to them as well. Then, of course, friends and families and businesses that you pay money to, everybody that ought to be in your CRM needs to end up in your list. And again, if you're a rookie, then none of those will be active, right? Because you don't know. you literally have never talked to them about actually buying or selling real estate. And if you have, first and foremost, you may have acted outside of your authority because you may not have been licensed at the time. Or if they have said to you at some point in time, hey, if and when you're licensed, give us a call. Okay, so those may be semi-active because things will have changed. Not everybody can wait for you. But all of those people, the people that are active and inactive, need to get into your contact management system. And then inside of your uh, client management system, you need to classify people in many different ways. Okay, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. And we call it tracking the action, right? What is happening? And then follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, follow up, and some more follow up. Okay. It's the getting in touch, staying in touch aspect of this business that builds and nurtures these relationships big time. And it has to be based on what is important to your client. Right? If you try to keep selling people that are not at all interested in buying anything, then you're losing trust, you're losing the relationship. So try to get in sync with what is important to your client in some way, shape, or form. Right? Some people are very, they want to know the marketplace, and so providing them with a market update, that's fine. Other people want to know what's going on in the community or whatever niche marketplace that you service. Right? There's people that focus on the investment marketplace. So provide, kind of financial information about opportunities, logical methods of saving money, direction to some opportunities here and there. And again, if you have a truly sensational opportunity, there's no harm in once in a while running and by people that are in that field, right? Because they're not driven by, hey, I have to physically move myself, but they may be driven by, I need something to put my investment money into to generate a reasonable return on my investment. Okay. So if it's not in your CRM, it doesn't exist. And this is critically important. There's so many realtors that I talk to that have been in the business 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years that have been so focused on lead generation, always working and focusing on the now business rather than what's going to happen beyond, that they've completely forgotten and lost all of the relationships and connections with all of the people that they already knew, like, and trusted, and have since moved on in other directions, right? That is 3, 4, 5 years worth of nurturing those relationships. And it now becomes much harder to kind of convert those people that they knew then, right, back into their real estate top of mind, top of preference relationship. So the sooner you put everybody in your CRM, the better it is. And yes, it is your memory. Yes, it holds you accountable. And yes, it gives you momentum absolutely every single time. And it's an interesting aspect because I talk to a lot of agents at various stages in their career and business. And one of the things that is common is that every single one of them will say, I always underestimated the value of the people that I know. And that's eventually where the vast majority of your business will come from. Not just some of the business, no, the vast majority. I'm talking 75 to 80% of your business will come from people that you have a good relationship with. Right? That's huge. Okay, so that should justify just about anything. But if that's not enough, we'll carry on a little bit. So it's your money machine, right? So, like I said, follow-up builds trust. Yes, it converts leads, but what it also does, it provides an assurance that you're going to be there. It's that stability. It is that you are the sources to whatever it is they need in and around real estate, right? And think about this: if you are a resource to 100, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000 people, a real estate resource to all of those people in some way, shape, or form, isn't that a very enviable position to be in? Right? So if you feed that nurturing relationship by providing solid, consistent, no pressure type information. And this is an important part because you can't overdo this. You can absolutely overdo this. Right. So the good old bad old days of sales used to say, always be selling. Well, you can always ask for if there is referral opportunities. I think that's probably okay, but you have to do it subtle and it can't be slapping in the face type of thing. It's more about being there and making sure that people remember that you're in and around real estate. So providing valuable, timely, appropriate information about real estate and living in a community definitely makes sense, right? So if, for example, we do a newsletter, in the newsletter we talk about the park of the month, right? What park is kind of your favorite park, and we actually get quite a bit of feedback on those, and right, we add a little bit of a video about the marketplace in there, and so we try to keep it as interesting as possible for as wide an audience that we try to connect with, right? And then we also do a separate connection with people that is specific to the market updates, because that's, again, is a slightly different segment of the marketplace that we didn't cater to. Hope that makes sense. All right. By the way, this is not just rookies. This is for everybody. Most rookies don't need more leads. They actually need better follow-up, more consistent. So you may have heard me talk about this, but here's a really simple process, okay? Especially when you're new and as a rookie. Think about this. If you met 5 people a day, 5 days a week, okay? There's 25 people a week that you meet, brand new people that are not in your system. So for those that have, oh, I'm brand new to the community, I don't know anybody, how am I going to establish? Okay, go and meet 5 people a day. How and where doesn't really matter, okay? The most successful realtor I've ever worked with, he literally would walk the shopping centers and would find a reason to talk to either people in the mall or the staff in the mall or the sanitation people in the mall or the maintenance people or the people that worked in the stores. And he would have conversation with them, and he would literally find a reason to compliment him and say, man, you're doing a great job. We need people like you in real estate. So then the conversation is about real estate. They chit chat a little bit, the typical FORD thing. And then he would literally ask, would you be terribly offended if I periodically updated you as what is going on in the real estate marketplace? And some people would say yes, some people would say no. And the people that say yes, he would give him his notebook and say, would you mind writing down your contact information so they can get that to you? Then he would write them a handwritten personal note that same day and would get it back in their hands within 48 hours, either by dropping it off at their home or getting it back to them, right? And then in the handwritten note, he would have the information that they talked about or some other item of value, information of value, right? And then he would follow up a couple of days later, right, in saying, hey, did you have an opportunity to look at it? Was there any questions? And then they would go on to a follow-up phone call or, some additional information. And some of those would end up being buyers, and some of them would go up into his database and would stay in consistent contact. Now, think about this, right? What I just said, he made basically 5 contacts with one person over a period of about 4 or 5 weeks, right? There's very little chance that that person is ever going to forget that realtor. Right. And then they stayed in touch every month. Okay. Every month they would have something. And then he would make sure that he would phone on their birthday and or their purchase or sale anniversary. Right. So very simple, nothing fancy, nothing. And by the way, virtually no cost, right? Handwritten notes, a pen, and, a little bit of ink out of the printer for printing stuff and business cards. And so very low cost, but very high efficiency. Right. So now, but carry on this. 5 people, 5 days a week, 25 people a week, right? 50 weeks a year. Okay, you see how much impact that has in a very short period of time. And by the way, he was able to do all of that in less than 2 hours a day, right? So that gave him then the rest of the day to actually service all the business that came from it. Okay, so but it comes from initially the lead generation part, and then the follow up. So keep this in mind: 1 contact, 5 follow-ups, 5 follow-ups. Then they become part of your ongoing communication. Now, it doesn't matter whether that's an active buyer or a seller. This is just building that relationship. If that happens to be an active buyer and seller, it's probably more than 5 contacts in 5 weeks. It's probably, 10 or 15 contacts in that same period of time. Why? Because you're now much more intensely working on what the needs of the consumer are. And the consumer will drive the clock, by the way, right? You can't arm wrestle people into your schedule or your clock in that regards. Not completely. You can kind of work with times of the day a little bit, but you can't necessarily manage people to such a degree that you can completely dictate when and how you're going to meet with them. Although, there's no harm in setting some boundaries to your time, of course. Right? Personally, I've rarely met with clients in the evening. Rarely. It was never my thing. Right? I tried to keep it to business hours. And for the most part, that was quite successful in them, for the most part. Okay, so follow-up, leadership. Leadership create conversions. Somebody's got to drive the bus. Better be you. All right. Your CRM will also remove stress. And why? Because it gives you clarity. You have an absolute system and structure that allows you to deal with your next set of activities in contact, because that's part of the program, right? You're setting it up that your systems now tell you what to say, when to say it, how to say it, where to say it, and what comes next. Right? And yes, that may feel a little bit like a canned situation, but it is why the systems work. The consistency is what makes it work. One of the agents that I'm aware of, I don't actually think I've met Ted, but there was an agent in Richmond, and this agent was licensed, was officially licensed, he's long retired now, but was officially a license, but never saw a buyer, never saw a listing, never listed a property, and never wrote an offer of purchase and sale, and averaged $200,000 plus per year and had no expenses. Would you like that kind of business? Now, would you like to know how he did it? Well, he did what nobody in the business wanted to do, which is he literally phone called around every listing that was new in the marketplace every day. So he would look on the system, he would see a neighborhood that he liked, and he would see that there was a new listing in this neighborhood, and he would find the phone numbers of all the people around there, and he would phone them. He wouldn't go over, he would phone them. Now, in those days, again, I'm talking 30, 35 years ago, that was a very easy thing to do because you had crisscross directories, so you could reverse directory, find any phone number in any street, right? Those were the days where spam and castle didn't exist. Now that's a different story. But today you could do exactly the same thing, but do it physically. You have a neighborhood where you want to work and you see a new listing count, you go and door knock every house in that neighborhood. Will that generate business? Absolutely it will. So if you don't know how to generate leads for business, but then they need to go in your system. right? And you need to have a plan. What do you do next? What comes next? Your CRM is going to help you with that, right? Okay. So again, your CRM allows you to manage and orchestrate and operate in a very clear-minded way, but it's your system, so you get to set the parameters. So again, you got to do 5 things: capture, categorize. Who are they? What are they? When are they? Then set tags. Now, tagging is a very, very important part. I'm going to dive into that a little bit deeper. Then you're going to schedule, and then you're going to follow up. Now, you see the sequence here, the order in which this is done. A, you capture, i.e., you get it into the system. You categorize, you tag, then you schedule, and then you contact. See the order? It's very important. So when I initially said, if it's not in the system, it's not so, I'm dead serious about that. If it's not in your CRM, it doesn't count. It's not a lead. Okay? It's very important because that's the only way that you will be able to actually reliably monitor your progress. Okay. Now we can talk about pipelines and we can create all kinds of statistics around it. That's another aspect of it, and it's absolutely important in maturing your business and what you're going to do with it. But when you do it in this sequence, yes, then it becomes simple. It's repeatable. It's assignable. You can now refer pieces of the task and the responsibility much easier because everything is already documented. Everything is already in place. Right? You can then attach, follow-up notes or setting up searches or getting presentations in people's hands or prepare paperwork. All of these things can then be delegated if you so wanted to when you get to that, success level, that system level, and that makes it much more scalable then, of course, right? Again, these are very important aspects to think about as a rookie. Don't think today I only have 5 people in my database. Yeah, but it will be 500 or 5,000 or 50,000 or 500,000. And don't think I'm kidding. I'm not. Okay. All right, so capture everything, first and foremost. SOI stands for sphere of influence. Sphere of influence. Right? Anybody you know. That's what that means. Anybody you know who influences you and who you influence. Who you know, who knows you, and who knows your family, and who knows your history, your jobs, your hobbies, your sports, your religion, your cultural affiliations or associations, your interests, your passions, the things you like, and sometimes the things you don't like. Right? They can all connect you with core groups or core entities within your community. Right? And anybody you pay money to, any organization that you're part of, any service or products that you use or that you provide assistance with, anything you volunteer for, all of that becomes part and parcel of your sphere of influence. Then, of course, anybody you meet at open houses, online leads, on conversations in the coffee shop, wherever, right? If you want to, by the way, if you want to start conversations, get a name badge. Just get a name badge that says your name, real estate consultant, or, I create financial independence. Are you interested? Right? It doesn't matter what it says on there, but your name and talk to me in some way, shape, or form. You want to make it clear that you want to be talked to. Is what we're getting at. That starts conversations. Now, I'm not a social person, but I full well recognized that I had to wear a name badge. I had to wear career apparel, certainly in the very early parts of my career. Would I do that now? I would still be reluctant. But if I really wanted to kind of crank the wheel again, yeah, absolutely, I would. Why? Because I know it works. To this day, I still have car signs. I have to be honest, I haven't actually put them on my car for a while because I noticed that the magnetic signs that I used to use are not as magnetic as they used to be, or the cars aren't as steel component as they used to be, because I've lost a number of signs in the last few years. But car signs used to work brilliantly, at least 1 or 2 deals a year. And for $35, you wouldn't wear car signs and and make five, six, seven, eight, $10,000. Yeah, I have no qualms about that. And by the way, it actually made me drive slower, safer. So, hey, probably saved me a few parking tickets or speeding tickets. So, anyway, not all leads are equal. So, categorizing is important, right? There's new leads, hot leads, warm leads, nurture leads. They're not actually leads. They're just part of your sphere of influence. And even those you can then subcategorize. And we have actually a whole special class for people that are in that phase and stage of their career where most of their business comes from their sphere of influence, the past clients, their connections with the community, right? And so they hone their categorization not on leads, but on the relationships, the quality and the intensity and the sincerity of the relationship, and what people are looking for as far as information and so on and so forth, and really have become expert in nurturing those relationships. It's very profitable to do that. Very profitable. Okay, so then you obviously want to tag strategically as well. Is it the buyer? Is it the seller? Is it an investor? Is it a neighbor? Are they neighborhood focused? What is the source of the lead? And so on and so forth. Very important thing. Now, in the tools and in the workbooks that you get with this material, we go much, much deeper into the tagging and into how to tag and what to tag, when to tag, and also talk really about the scheduling around tagging. So tagging also becomes a function of what to connect with people, how to connect with people, where to connect with people, and so on and so forth. Those are equally important. So your next call, your next email, your next touch, what comes next? You're always thinking about what's next. If you don't have a next, then what do you got? You got a dead lead. You basically have no relationship left. Right? Is your daily follow up a sprint, or is it are you taking it slow? Is it the slow boat? Um, you know, or do you need to make daily follow ups? Well, in this business, daily follow ups is critical, particularly with people that are somewhat on the fence. But because inevitably somebody else will introduce something that will get people off the fence. Okay. So clean your data. Ooh, at least once a week. Clean your data. Update your contact information. Take 5, 10, 15, 20 contacts, go through them and make sure that everything is current and up to date, that it's relevant and that it's appropriate. Okay. So remove any duplicates, update contact information, add missing details. If you found out something, you learned something, buyer seller said something, or you ran into somebody and they said, well, give me a call next month. Okay, book it in, right? And so on and so forth. Or you came across some information that you want to share with a few people, and that's an update, right? Your sphere of influence, it will be your lifeline. There's just no two ways about it. The people that you have the best relationship with also want you to succeed. So therefore, it's of key importance that you get in touch and stay in touch. Make them part of your community, part of your environment, and make it a giver's gain approach, in my humble opinion, right? Meaning that you add more value to their lives than you want in return from them. Okay? Giver's gain, right? They win because you give them all the benefit. Your family, your friends, your past clients, current clients, community contacts. just imagine, who are the people in your town that know everything that's going on? There's always about 10 or 15 people that you know that know exactly what the heck is going on wherever it is. Whether it's the hairstylist, the postman, the movers, the garbage collection people, they know exactly what is going on. Wouldn't you want to be a fly on their shoulder when they have conversations with people and listen to whatever is going on, or at least get the opportunity to get their referrals? Yeah, I think you might want to explore that a little, right? So how would you go about doing that? Well, depends on the situation, but it's not all that hard, right? So create your lead source tags. Sourcing is really important because if you're spending, I don't know, 30, 40, 50% of your time in one particular part of the marketplace and you're getting no results, that should tell you something, right? You want to be where the business is, where the opportunities are. Also, where you can best interact with the people that you have long-term relationship with. So is it an open house, social media? Is it community events? Is it at the municipal hall? Is it talking to lawyers or mortgage brokers or what have you? Right? Or is it online? Yeah, sure. You can do lots of stuff online nowadays. Virtual meetups are not a bad idea. In fact, live streaming on things like Facebook or YouTube in certain aspects of the business can be quite profitable. See quite a few people exploring that at the moment, and not all with the greatest success, but some do quite well with it. All right, so pipelines is sequence, right? You have a new lead, you attempted the contact, you connected, you set an appointment. Now it's an active client. Now what comes next? Okay, now we're going to qualify that person. We're going to find properties to look at. We're going to set the appointment. We're going to actually show. We're going to ask questions, yada, yada, yada. Right? Those are sequences, pipelines, as we call them. And you can make that very visual. So if you have, say, 5 people that are in that, working with a mortgage broker stage and seeing what they're qualified for. Okay, now you have, scripts, dialogues, information. You probably want to talk a little bit about actual agency relationships and so on and so forth to make sure that people are connected and loyal to you. This is an exchange of benefits, right? They get the benefit to get your expertise. You get the benefit of working with them and hopefully help them make a home buying decision with your support and assistance, right? And so on. So pipelines are quite important, and they're typically the sequence in which you deal with people, dependent on what their needs are, right? CRMs can also help tremendously with automations, right? A welcome email, intro messages, reminders, all of which can be automated, right? If you added a person to your CRM and then had a follow-up email or a message saying, hey, thanks for chatting with me. Here's the information you're looking for. And then your system already says, oh, make sure that you call them a week from now, right? And it will just be automatic. It will show up on your schedule, and now you literally have your daily plan. So as far as time management, your CRM can be brilliant. Frankly, it couldn't be much better, to be honest with you. So, what is your daily routine? What is your daily routine with your CRM? Every day you should look at, is there new leads? Is there any updates? Is there any follow-ups that I need to do? Do I need to add notes? What have I done? Now, some people do this early in the morning. Some people do it late at night. Some people do it scattered all over the day. It really depends on your personality and your style. But make it an actual conscious decision that every day you're current. Every day you're current. Don't fall behind. And if you fall behind, then change your routine so that you don't fall behind. So you stay within the moment. if your CRM falls behind and you're not following up, you're not doing the things that you ought to be doing, then somewhere along the way something has gone astray, and you got to then make sure that you can stay on top of things. So 3 golden rules with that means pretty straightforward. Never trust your memory. Never trust your memory. If it's not in your CRM, just not so. Never skip a follow-up. Like I just said, right? If you somehow can't stay current with your follow-ups, then you got to stop. Say, okay, how do I make sure that my follow-ups are absolutely categorically done? What stuff am I busy with that I should not be busy with because it's prevented me from being in touch with people? The people is where the money is, not your social media post. I hate to tell you, it's not interaction. It's busy stuff. Okay? Anyway, never leave a lead untagged. So make sure that you know exactly what's happening with this person. Where are they at? Where are they going? When? How? Why? Right? Tagging it makes it easy for you to search them as well. So let's say that you want to work with investors in a $500,000 to $1 million price range, right? Okay, so if you've tagged your prospects, your people in your database properly, and you come across a property that you want to quickly contact these people in your CRM, you do a quick search and you say, okay, all the people that are investors in this price range, okay, now there's 5 that show up. You put together a quick email or a quick phone call or a quick text message saying, hey, got a great opportunity, call me if you're interested. Right? Really, really important that you do that really well. Okay. Note taking is always important. So talk about motivation, talk about concerns, right? And put caveats in there, right? If people say, oh, they definitely do not want to see this or that. And there are some CRMs where you can actually create custom fields and, flag certain things that if they show up, it warns you to not, proceed with that property or with that particular situation. So the beginning of the day, they do all their tasks, they do all their stuff. Then they meet their people. That generates a whole bunch of activities. So they do a last update on their CRM. Then they look at all the tasks and all the daily activities that they were supposed to do. Check it out, check it out, check it out. And then they schedule anything that wasn't scheduled already, but that needs scheduling. They schedule it before the end of the day so that it's scheduled for somewhere in the future. It's next day, next week, next month. It's scheduled in their schedule. And now you can let it emotionally, psychologically, your memory bank, you can empty it out and go to bed. Because otherwise you'll be worrying about, oh, did I not, should I not, and so on and so forth. It makes your life so much easier. Okay. Pipeline health checks. Well, this is one of those things that seems like common sense, right? You look at your pipeline and you see, oh, Johnny here is still stuck in qualifications or still stuck on sitting on the fence about something. All right. This is some progress needs to be made, right? People sitting on the fence is not an opportunity. So is there a way to make it an opportunity, or is it a way that we need to just take them off the fence altogether and say, okay, it sounds to me like you've decided not to do anything for the next little while. Am I missing something, or is there something that we need to refocus on and make sure that you're getting the right information or the right properties or the right situation showing up? Do we need to have a visit with the mortgage broker again just to make sure that we're clear on what directions you're in? You don't need to arm wrestle and you don't need to force anybody, but you do need to know what's next, right? Sitting still there is no next, right? The maybes, Floyd Wickman used to say this: you can handle a yes, right? A yes means we're going to do something, we're going to buy, we're going to sell. Yes, we're ready, we're going. Okay. You can also handle a no. No, we're not going to do anything. It's not for next 6 months or a year. No, absolutely categorically, no, nothing is going to happen. Then you know, right? It's closed. You put them on the slow drip, and if and when things change, you want to be at least be given the opportunity. It's the ones that tell you maybe that will waste most of your time. You will spend more time on those than anybody else. So if you're able to minimize the number of maybes in your sphere of influence, in your database, in your client list, the better it is. Now, I know that many, many agents are afraid of getting an absolute yes or no because they're afraid of the no. But they don't realize is that the no actually frees them up, right? It then allows you to take on somebody else, to find another opportunity. It's okay. Not everybody's ready. It's fine. It's the maybes, that wishful thinking that you hope that if all comes together. But if you really look at it closely, it's not going to happen. Not now. Right? They're leading you on. They're always playing this game. Well, Johnny's not here, or well, we got to confirm this. Oh, well, today's not convenient. It's okay. They're maybes, but in your mind, they're probably no's. And yes, you're going to lose a few here and there that eventually then do buy. But if you put them on a slow drip and you stay in touch with them appropriate to their intensity, you'll be okay with most of them. Okay. So clean your time, your pipeline, clear your mind. It's actually invigorating. It's actually really inspiring, frankly. Okay. Your CRM also helps with all the other things: kit names, birthdays, worries, preferences, goals, objectives, secondary interests, all of the things that are important in the relationship. So taking good notes in the CRM, and you can do it on your phone, you can do it on your tablet, you can do it pretty much anywhere. Most, if not all, of the CRMs are now online. So you literally can have it with you 24/7. Right? And it doesn't have to be sophisticated. If you are with some of the brokerages that we're affiliated with, and some of the other brokerages, oftentimes your CRM comes with being part of that organization. So you're not spending an awful lot of money, if any money, over and above what you're already spending. So tracking conversation is really also part of that note-taking, right? It always gives you that opportunity that once a week you go through all of this and you say, okay, all of these notes that I took and I transferred into, where are the opportunities in there? Did I not hear somebody say, hey, if such and such came about, maybe we should, okay, well, look at this. Here's that property. Here's that opportunity. Right? Where the lead came from, what did they say? What is the next step? Always tell that story. Always. And follow-up scripts, right? Just checking in. Any updates on your timeline? Is anything happening? I saw a property today that reminded me of your search, right? Also, if you are working with active people, active buyers, right? So many people have set up these automated searches and then not touch base with the people that they set the searches with. It's important that if there is a search and you check in on the system that they've looked at properties on that search, then you follow up on them. Hey, I noticed that there was a few properties that showed up. Was there any interest? Is there anything that you want to know in addition to what was on the system that I can dig out for you? Okay. Or, you, are the parameters too loose or too tight? Right. I always go with the premise I want to start as open as possible because I'd much rather have you reject properties than our system reject properties and you would have considered them. Right. But if at some point in time you say, okay, that's a bit too loose, all right, then let's tighten it up a bit, whether it's geographically or price or size, or you tell me what it is that you want and we'll make it happen. And then you again check back in at least once a week or twice a week. Okay. Quick question about your move. Always find a reason. What comes next, right? All right. Speed to lead. That particularly is important on online leads. It's not quite as intense with kind of open house leads and some other sphere of influence leads, although still very important. The responsiveness is really tightened up over the last few years. It used to be, the next day or within the next day would be okay. An online lead, if you don't come back to them in 5 minutes, they're pretty much gone. They don't even remember you because they're two websites past where you were. Right? They're on the hunt, right? So it's the first person to respond positively and encouragingly and with some solution and answers and the right questions, right? One of the questions that you need to ask, well, you've probably been looking online for a little while. Is there other properties that pique your interest that you've inquired about that I can maybe give you some answers on, right? That's just opening that door for adding all the other properties that they have inquired about and provide information. Because if you're the only one that's responded in 5 minutes, guess what? They probably have 5 or 10 properties that they passed by that they also inquired about. Right? Anyway. So see, you're going to lead follow up, right? This is leads. If it's hot, daily. If it's warm, weekly. If it's nurturing, monthly. Hot, daily. In fact, if it's really hot, then as soon as there is another property that shows up that might work, you're on it. Right? And you need to prep your client for that. Hey, the market is such that at the moment we might not have a second shot. So, I may call upon you on a moment's notice. How available are you to have a look at it? Now, right now, this very current marketplace, where the end of January 2026, market isn't as hot, but there are still segments where there are, very limited inventory portfolios available. So if something special shows up, that may still be deemed to be hot, right? Or your buyer is in absolute need of doing something, and you therefore need to be attentive to whatever their needs are, not because the market is saying something. The market means nothing, right? The market is you and your client. That's the market. Okay. All right. Lead reactivation, your hidden gold. So, the fence sitters, right? Are you still considering a move? Has anything changed in your plans? What's going on? We notice that the interest rates are holding or they're coming down. Inventory is up a little, prices a little softer. Is it worth a while to have a cup of coffee, go over what it is that you wanted to accomplish, and see whether there is better, smarter, easier options available for you? Right? See how to reactivate that. It's really quite important. All right. So, like I said, if you're a rookie, your phone has contacts. They need to be in your CRM. If they're in your phone, that's fine. They need to be in your CRM. Okay. Whether that is Lofty, KV Core, Ninja Realty, Go High Level, webmasters, point to it doesn't really matter. Top producer, they have to be in a CRM. If you don't know which CRM you're going to use, well, that's an exercise that we can help you with, and maybe give us a call separately. But it is absolutely key important that you have a CRM working for you. Okay. Some of them are built in with your brokerage. Some of them you have to spend some money on. And yes, it can get expensive if you go for really fancy ones, but there are really inexpensive solutions as well. Okay. Then add 25 contacts today. I mean, I hate to tell you, but people that say, I know nobody, just look at your phone. How many phone numbers do you have in your phone? There's very few people that have less than 100. So tag, categorize, schedule, next action. What are you going to do with them? You say, well, I don't know these people really well. Then just introduce yourself as a real estate agent. Yeah? Simple as that. Okay? Exercise number 2. Set up your buyer and seller stages. What stage is everybody at? If you have anybody that's active, so from pre-qualifying to preview to uh, as far as buyers, sitting down with a mortgage broker, going over the privacy notice and the disclosure of representation paperwork, agency opportunities, what their needs are, what their timelines are, and so on and so forth. Keep it simple, keep it effective. Right? Always worry about what comes next. Right? Exercise number 3, daily routine. Review, update, complete. Review, update, complete. Add the missing pieces. Always try to figure out throughout your CRM, you're going to make sure that you review, you update, and you complete. And you always wonder, what's next with these people? What do I need to do next? Okay. So in the workbook, you'll find some checklists, some pipeline mapping pages, and some daily command routines. In the toolkit, you'll find a list of tags as well. Okay. So that you can use and implement into your systems. And it's important to think about these things, okay? So in your toolkit, there's a standard operating procedure outline. Now, it's a generic one, so it may not fit you, but it is a starting point. Trust me, when I started with my first database, I didn't know anything. I didn't know it from Adam, and I struggled for years with working properly with a CRM. So we've actually given you an outline as to how to do things and what to do. There's a tagging system, there's a rookie daily routine there, and there's some follow-up scripts there for you. So you should be able to take full advantage of all of that, okay? So in summary, your CRM is your control center. It is absolutely the brain of your organization. It is the money maker. It is, your most valuable asset now and in the future. In fact, it becomes more and more valuable the longer you're in the business, the bigger your database is, and the more consistent you've been in touch with them. There's people that have sold their databases for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. In fact, indefinite cash flow generating systems come from databases. So, it is critically important that you look after it really, really well. So be very, very careful what you do with your database. You capture, you tag, you schedule, you follow, and you convert. That's it. That's your day-to-day activities. The CRM doesn't necessarily build your business, but the discipline inside that the CRM does, right? If you nurture, if you work your database, you hold it sacred, you protect it. And I mean, truly, sincerely protected. You don't let anybody that is unqualified play with it, tinker with it, or potentially destroy it. You make backups. You have safety precautions in place that other people can't just steal your stuff, right? Keep in mind, every name in there over the lifetime of your career could be as much as $50,000 to $60,000 in commissions. Think about that, right? That's how valuable each and every prospect is in there. Anyway, thank you so very much. I really appreciate you being here. I hope you picked up a few tips and pointers, and hope to see you at the next mission. And we'll talk about some more exciting things about the early days in real estate. And See you at the next mission. Have a fantastic week.
File saved. The Agent Files. For more missions, agents' tools, and tactical strategies, subscribe and follow the Agent Files, powered by Agent Builder Coaching. Until next time, stay sharp. Your next mission awaits.